So this video is all about whether there's a minimum amount of assets or a maximum amount of assets that warrants hiring the lawyers and going through a Louisiana succession after somebody dies. On the minimum amount of assets, there's really 2 points I want to make. The first point is on the minimum side. I'll give you an example. Well, let's say dad died and the only thing left in his name is a bank account that has $400 in the account. And that's all he's got. Everything else he had disposed of, or for whatever reason didn't have anything else. Well, if it's going to cost the estate or the family several $1,000s to go through the court process just to get access to a $400 bank account, well, it probably doesn't justify going through that whole process. Now, there's a second area where minimum is applicable, because in Louisiana we have something called the Louisiana Small Succession Affidavit procedure. And it only applies in particular circumstances, which is when somebody dies and they don't have a will, again, don't have a will, and they have less than $125,000 of assets, or actually not more than $125,000 of assets. Then the family can go through what's called a small succession affidavit procedure, and they don't have to go through the whole judicial proceeding. So those are your two scenarios where it doesn't pay to go through the succession, because either the assets remaining don't justify the cost of the proceeding, or you qualify under this small succession affidavit procedure. On the maximum side, well, sure, there is no don't have to do it if you have too much. In fact, whenever somebody has an awful lot, we start worrying about the federal estate tax component of the settling of the estate, which adds just a significant layer of complexity and tax compliance. But these days, 2018, a person can pass away and have up to $11.2 million of assets and not be required to file these federal estate tax returns with the IRS, with the federal government. So obviously the large estates also have to go through the succession, but they may have this extra estate tax compliance piece if it's a multi-million-dollar estate. So there you have it, everything in between. Got to go through the succession if there's things in the person's name when they died. Got to get everybody involved. We want it to be amicable. There's a right way and a wrong way to do all of that stuff. So this ought to give you, some guidance on what that kind of minimum to maximum might look like. Now go take care of business.